long have you been how long have you been DJing?
I've been DJing for 13 years.
Yeah. How did you get into it?
Well, I got into electronic music really early, and I was listening to a mix show, a long-running mix show in Dallas called Edge Club, which is run by this DJ called DJ Merritt, and it used to come on between like 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. on Saturday nights. And listening to the show, I listened to it because that was my only source for electronic music at the time because it wasn't big. But I had no idea that there was actually like a DJ mixing the tracks. I just thought it was, I was what, maybe 12 at the time? So I just thought it was one long song. And then as I got older, I started to realize, oh, there's a DJ who's actually like playing, and there's someone actually connecting the tracks. So at the time I wasn't old enough to go out and go to parties.
What was that? Like, there's no sound coming out of there.
Technical difficulties. I heard it before we left. He was having issues. Just why you don't play on computers, man. Your CDs or something. But anyway, no. As I got older, when I was like in my 20s, I started going to parties and started seeing the DJs play. And I thought, man, I could do that. It's really cool because at the time I was playing classical violin. I was like, man. Okay, well, if I can play violin, I can do that. So I saved up my money that I was making from bagging groceries and bought a kit, a Newmark starter DJ kit, which was 2 belt-driven turntables and a mixer and 2 like tiny little JBL speakers. And that's how I started. That was January 2001. That was a lifetime ago, man. It was a lifetime ago.
You've been like a million different places. How would you characterize the scene in Taipei as opposed to like everywhere else you've been?
Well, Taipei's scene is really small, and I haven't, unfortunately, even though I've been here for a while, I haven't really been a part of it because number one, it's small, and it's also like it seems to be a very select group of people.
Yeah.
But I think the small scenes are good because you tend to get people who are out before the music, whereas when you have a big scene in other places, like let's say in the States or really just the States, like most of the people, you have people who are there for the music, and which is about 20%, the other 80% are just there to get messed up and party and hopefully hear some music that will make them, have a good time. So, yeah, the scene is small. It's hard to find places that appreciate your music. When you do, like Triangle, it's really sweet.
Well, you produce as well as DJ, right? How is that? How do you find the performance aspect of that?
You mean as far as performing my songs, or?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really. I guess I don't really. I'm not at the stage where I'm performing my songs. Hope to get to that point.
Okay.
But what I do like is the fact that I can go in the studio, at least for dance music anyway. Go in the studio, produce a track, and then, be at my gig next weekend and test it out, and then figure out, based on the crowd reaction, what works and what doesn't. And go back home to fix it. So it's like a trial and error type thing. I like it because you get an instant reaction. You can kind of feel it. Whereas like maybe with pop music or whatnot, you kind of have, like, you're working with a big label and a record company, you got to get it together and then hope that they like it, and then it takes a year before it even comes out, and then maybe people don't even like it.
Yeah.
So here you can kind of field test it and know immediately what you need to change and how it sounds like on the system.
So when you go up tonight, if you're playing your own stuff, then everything is pre-recorded and you're just mixing today?
Yeah. I'll play some of my own stuff, some stuff that, I like. And just kind of watch the crowd reaction. And if I have some stuff that I've prepared that, there's kind of tracks that I'm working on and ideas, and if they don't respond to it, then I'll go back and maybe tweak some things. And also it's a chance for me to sound check it because I've been in my studio the whole time, and just because it sounds good in the studio doesn't mean it sounds good in a nightclub. So it's also a chance to make sure all the frequencies and whatnot are good to go and things aren't like too heavy on the low end.
So do you do that with everything that you make, or is that just what happens to fit the set?
Well, for dance music, yeah. For the other stuff, mainly like for if I'm producing for a singer or like for TV or for film, it's the client, right? So it's what the client wants. Even if I think, maybe some bits might sound better. At the end of the day, I have to let it go and it's in their hands. And if they want to change something, you got to change it. So I think making music for myself is a bit better because I'm my own client and I can change what I want. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Okay. So what's your process? How does the creative aspect go?
It's weird actually because I don't really have a process. I'll just kind of, when I feel like I'm in the mood to make something, I'll go and I'll make it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I've got dozens of things that I've started, and even some things that I've maybe finished or not finished that no one will ever hear because it's just like, if it doesn't make me groove, then how's it gonna make, the crowd groove? So I kind of just go in and maybe I'll start with drums, or maybe I'll start with an idea like a hook that I had in my head and try to play around with it. And a lot of it's just trial and error, kind of just throwing things in and kind of seeing what sticks and then shaping around that.
So are you one of those people who sits down to write or produce and just produces, or do you wait until the mood strikes you, or you just carry your tape recorder around all the time? How does that go?
Well, because it's my job. Unfortunately, I spend more time making music for other people than I do for myself. That's one thing I hope to kind of change this year. So it's like, even if I have an idea, like I'll have to put it off to the side because I've got this client who needs it, who needed it yesterday, and it has to get done. So yeah, I do come up with lots of ideas for things, but unfortunately, sometimes the idea will end up being used for the project that I'm working on at that moment. But then I'm like, okay, well, I'll use it for that, but I'll put it in a track somewhere. I'll work it in at some point. It may not be like the main hook, but I'll use that bit somewhere. Because whoever sees it on TV is not really paying attention to the music anyway. So I can kind of get away with maybe using it in a track, which I have gotten away with.
So if that's the case, does it go the other way too? Does anything escape from your studio that you're not, that you don't think is ready? No. If it's not ready, it doesn't come out. Even if I have the idea and I work it into something that's, for a client or whatever, the idea will get out. But as far as like the finished product of a track, if it's not finished and I'm not ready for it, it doesn't get out. Because you're a musician as well and you're a producer, so we're our own worst critic. And if we don't think it's good, how the hell is anyone else gonna think it's good? So do you keep a collection of those?
Of ideas?
Yeah.
Some. I mean, sometimes I will take the idea and use it like, in the project that I'm working on. Yeah, I remember. And then sometimes I'll use it in both. Like if I'm working on like a commercial or a film, whatever, I'll use it for like maybe a specific scene. But because I know neither one of those things will ever like intertwine at some point, I might put it in a track and release it. And that kind of stuff. So.
What's the shelf life on that? Have you ever run into a case where you look back on your old stuff and it's just not usable?
No, I think I've always had something that's usable. Like sometimes I'll just have an idea and I'll just hash it out. Like maybe just get like a 8-bar loop or 16-bar loop and use it with that. And then in a pinch, whenever it's like someone comes in and is like, hey, we need you to do something, we need it by tomorrow. That's when that comes in handy. I have something that I've made. Go back and there I have it. And something that may have taken me 8 hours now just takes me 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, what's coming up for you? Like as far as DJing goes, where you headed?
Well, I got some stuff planned out for the summer. We'll be working on a tour. There's like a song that I did a year ago for this Italian label. Kind of was picking up steam and it got re-released on another label, so I might try and go to Europe and go in support of that. I got, I have like the thing at Triangle, which we're hoping to make a regular thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's obviously I got to get back in the studio and make some more of my own music at some point. Yeah, DJing wise, I think it's just a tour and it's really it.
Okay. So, are you organizing a tour by yourself, or are you getting help from management, from your part?
A little bit of both. Part of it's management and part of it is just me. Part of it's the label that I'm with. So it's like our forces combined, And a tour will kind of emerge from that.
Okay. So, where can people find you? You mean like online or?
Yeah.
Okay. My main outlet is my Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/my first and last name. So it's just go there.
Like
Or
it
you
says
flash
on
it on the screen,
Yeah.
right here.
Right there.
That's kind of my main thing. I'm not really into Twitter, so Facebook is the main place you can find me.
Okay.
I post, all the stuff that I'm doing.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for talking to me.
Sir?